Hello, Crystal here. So I want to start a series on this channel where I create generative artwork that's inspired by artists or artwork that's thought as being more traditional. So over here you can see my network, and you can change the compositions in different variations using a noise. And what really inspired this was Kandinsky's artwork. So you can see Kandinsky's artwork here, and especially composition 8. I really was drawn to all the geometric shapes, the lines, and also having this like nice gradient. And you can see what I made is not Kandinsky, but I did the liberty of doing my own color schemes and having this being the starting point, create my own network, own composition crystal. So we can just delete everything and we'll start from scratch together. So in the network, I will add a circle slot. And oops. Circle top stop. I will archetype change it to open arc. And I will hook a geometry comp. And in the geometry comp, I want it to rotate. So in the rotation RY, I'll add expression time frame. Copy and paste it also in the Z axis. And then for the translate, you can play around with the position, but what seemed to work for me was 2.67 and negative 0.2. I want this circle to be circling around a line. So add a line up. I'll make this a bit longer and to go slant down. So do negative 0.2, negative 2. And add another geometry. In this geometry, I'll have it to be 2.5 and another line comp. So I'll just copy and paste this. In this line comp, I'll have it to be positive 2. In this translate, I'll change it to be negative 7.3 and 0.3 lines. Add another circle. I'm going to just copy and paste this. And for this circle, I want it to have the arc to be shorter, so just 100. The arc end to be 100. And the rotation Y, I'll just change it to be negative 10. So it doesn't arc the whole other way, but it circles around. The translate, I'll change it to be negative 6.2 and nine. And another arc, so many circles. For this circle, I'll have it be longer, so the radius will be 1.5 to 1, and the arc a little bit more, 130. And for this, the TX, have it to be 0.1, and the RY to be 3. I'll delete this RY over here. And for this, I want it to, what is it? Yeah. So I want this to be turning, so that's and I'm going to copy and paste this. But for the second one, I don't want it to go in a full circle, but just to move side to side. So having it to go side to side, I'll add an LFO. Control that. So I'll add a LFO chop. Sorry. I'll add an LFO chop. And I'll change the amplitude to be 0.2. Let's a bit slower. And for the LFO, I will add a map. And right now it's going -1 to 1. So from range -1 to 1, I'll change it to 0 to 100. So it will just arc from 0 to 100. Add a lag. And the lag up from 0 to 0.5. And add a this. I'll name this to be circle rotation. And then I can just directly drag this to the RZ. A little bit slanted, like just a little bit. And I want this to be reference. So let's see what's happening. We'll add a camera. And a render. I'm going to add a null after the render. I'm going to call this out and make this viewable. So we don't see much. Let's first add a material. So I'll do a line material. And this line material, I'll have it to be white for now. I'll change it to black because we want black lines. And for the line material, I'll have the distance near to be 50 and width near to be 2. So it's the line thickness. And I'll just connect this all to the geometry. But we still don't see much other than this one circle over here. So with the camera, I want to pull it back. So with the RZ, I'll make it to 20. And got some actions going on. Going to just also lower this down to 1.5 just so we can have everything in it. Circle, got some of the stuff. This one I also kind of just want to go down. Move it to 0.5 and 2, just so I like the circle to be rotating around the line. So that's the first line. And I will start on the instancing now. So for the instancing, I'll start with, and then there's circles. So we're doing all these line stuff. So then the circle, open the arc. And this one, I will have it to be 180. So it's just like kind of a circle. Oops. Half a 360, so half in the arc. And a geometry compactors. Want this smaller, so the uniform will be 0.5. And for the translate, I will put -1.9 and 9. Let's make it to -2. And then 1. So I'm going to instance this on a line. And for this line, I'll make this viewer active and show you the points. So right now it has 2 points, and this will I want to instance this circle on the points. I'm going to change the points to be 4. And I'll extend this longer, so I'll make the point B to start with 6. So the circles will be on these arcs. I'll add a null after this and a stop to chop. Not call this instant int. And turn on the instancing page. And I really just need a TX for this. And let's see what we got. Got the arc. And I want a line for the arc too, so I will just, for this line, I'll add another geometry comp afterwards. And I'll change the translate for the line to be -3.5 and 1. Be it. Let's adjust it a bit. So 1.5 and -4. Cool. Yeah, well, let's do another arc thingy. I'll just copy and paste this circle. And for this circle, I want the arc angle to be changing. So I will have another LFO. I'll just copy and paste this LFO. And for LFO, I want it to be 0 to 360. So the end angle will start with 0 to 360. So the circle will be essentially circling itself. So for the LFO, I'm going to change the amplitude to be 1, but the frequency to be 0.2. So it slows down. And the math to range to be 0 to 360. And I want to check. So because the lag, it doesn't get to the full 360. So I'm going to actually make it to be 380. So I just sure that's going to get the full rotation. And I'll change this to arc angle. And I will just connect this over here. Be circling. Wonderful. But I want a different instancing for this. So I'm going to just copy and paste this instancing setup. And for this, I want it to be angled. So I'll just have it to be 5 to, yeah. And I'll just change this to be instance 2. TY, T3, because this one actually matters. So yeah, it's doing this circle arc thingy. I want it a bit bigger than the other one, so the uniform to be 0.28, and the translate, I'll change it to be -6, and bring it. Actually, let's move it a bit. So -3, and yeah, you can play around, move these. So actually this, I kind of rather have it over here. So translate page, I'll move it to more to 3 and 1. And this one to 3. Oops. It's 1.1. I have all these elements. And over here, I'm going to just add a transform. because later on I want to be able to control the rotation of this, which will be fun. And I'll just change the line to be black because we want the lines black. And we can go up and start adding the other elements. Awesome, awesome. So we're going to start adding the shapes, but we'll start with the materials. So I'll do a ramp top. This ramp top, I'll change the resolution to be 1000 to 1000. So bigger, it's still square. And change the type to circular. And you can play around with the different colors that you want for this. I'm going to change the period to be 2.6. And the phase, I'll do the handy expression abs time dot seconds. Seconds. And I'll slow this down by 1. So it's 0.1. We can play with the different colors, but I will go with this blue to orange. Maybe add a like purple in there in the middle thing. Another like pinky. Yeah, I'm vibing with this. Yeah. So I'll add a blur after this. Want to give a little bit more of a gradient, especially when that color breakage. So I'll do pre-shrink 4 and filter 20. And I will just add a null and call this text 1 or texture 1. Copy and paste this. Actually, I'll just copy and paste this second part. And between this, I'll just add a level. And the level, I'll make the invert to be 1. And I'll play with the gamma. I don't like it so dark. So we can let's have it to be 1.37, but feel free to play around with this. I'm going to copy and paste this one more time. And this time I'll have the mat to be horizontal. And I'll just change these colors to something else. Green. Blue. I don't know. So many choices. It looks like just a different variation, the first one. But yeah. Something. You can play around, but yeah. And let's add some stuff to have it instance it on. I will add a circle top. Circle stop, I'll change the radius to be 0.5. This one, I'll keep it closed because we're going to add this texture on here. And after the circle stop, I'll just add a transform. Transform, I'll make it to be 0.1. And geometry comp afterwards. And I'll just copy and paste this 2 times. And for the third one, I'll change the division to be 3 because I want it to be a triangle. Then I'm going to move this to the left side because I will add 3 materials. And do a constant mat. And for this constant mat, in the blending transparent, I'll turn it on. And I'll copy it 2 more times. And I'll just connect this over to here, this over to here, and this over here. Great. I'm going to actually copy this one more time, the circle one. But this one, I'll have the arc to be open. And I'll just copy and paste this alignment. Fantastic. We'll start with the instancing now. We'll add a grid. I always like to just have it wire mode for grid so I know what's going on. I'll change the row to be 8 and the column to be 8 and the size to be 2 by 1. So because the whole resolution, I'll also keep it to 1280 by 720 and that just gives a good wide angle. I'll add a null and I'll call this the pause for position. And for all 3 of these, I will just, in the instancing, turn it on. And I'll put it in the translate op and have it be PO and P1 to be translate X and N1. Let's see what's going on. So add a camera and a then on top, I'll add a null afterwards. And I'll just call this out. So right now it is not connected. So let me first add the material. And you see that it's just all in a grid. So we're going to play around with this instancing. And I first want to say what this instancing technique that I'm going to use, it's I learned from William. It is from one of his tutorials, I believe it's number 51. So it's a really cool instancing technique and it works pretty well for this project. So I will show you. I'll first add a keyboard in Chop. And I'm going to turn this off because it ain't that pretty. This keyboard in Chop, I'm going to add a count. So the keyboard in Chop, so if I click on 1, it'll just start counting. And just reset this. Doesn't really matter, but I'll add a null. I'll name this null seed. So every time I click 1, it will go up. Wait, this is a noise. And seed. Great. And after that, I will add on the bottom, I'll add a noise pop. And this noise, I will make the resolution really small to 828. And I'll change the amplitude to be 1. And this amplitude, I will also change the offset to be 0.3. And this seed, I want this to control this, so I'm going to drag it over here. But I'm going to add expression of me.digits, just so it would be 12 because it would be like 11 plus 1 being the noise. And then, so if I copy it, it'll be noise 2, and then it'll be like 13, and it won't be the same seed. Afterwards, I'll add a limit top. And in this limit top, I will change the quantify to floor and step to be 1. Ooh. Then I'll add a null, and I'll call this alpha 0. Now I'll copy this and paste it twice, and this will be control the alpha. So it will cover the different nodes, not different nodes, the different instancing. So you won't see all of them. And they'll be kind of random because all 3 of them are different depending on the noise. We're going to copy this and delete the limit and add a math instead. And in this math, I'll change the range to be 0 to 2. And this will actually, I'll change this called scale 0. And one more thing for the noise, I'll change it to be 32-bit float, just so it's more dynamic, yeah. And copy and paste this 2 more times. But for the third one, I'll have this control the triangle, because the circles, it doesn't matter if both the x, y would be the same, but for the triangle, I want the angles to be more different. So this one I actually will turn on the monochrome off, and I'll make the range a bit bigger, so to be 4. So I have all these, and let's add into the instancing. So for scale, I'll do, actually not the scale, for color op, I'll put in alpha 0. This one, I'll put alpha 1. And this for alpha 2. And this one, I want it to actually be this overlay over the first circle. So I'll put alpha 0 for this one. I'll select all these, and I'll make the alpha to be R. So now you can see it only selects a few of these depending on this noise. And now I'll also change the scale. So I'll put scale 0 for this, scale 2 for this, and scale 3. Wait, scale 0, scale 1, and scale 2 for this. And this one, again, I want to be the same as this one, so I'll put scale 0 back on this one. And for these two, I'll just have it all be R and R and R. And for this, I actually want to be R, R, G, and R. This one, all just R, R, R. Because let me see. Gonna see what's going on, because I want them the circles to be all R, because I want them to be a perfect circle, and the R's can be have more variation. Cool. That's one. And for the camera, have everything bigger. So let's do this to, oops, 1.8 seems like a good number. Awesome. Now let's add a background to this. I'll add another ramp. This ramp, I'll make it to be 1280 by 720. Change it to be vertical. And again, you can make it any color you want, but I'll have it to be like a light blue to a yellow color. And I'm going to add a noise. This noise to also be 1280 by 720. And this noise, I'll change some of the parameters, period to be 0.3, harmonics to be 6, harmonic spread to be 2.5, exponent 1.5, and amplitude very light, 0.1. Now displace this on it. So add a displace. And so it kind of gives a little bit of this like nice texture. And after this, I'll add a composite. And then composite, I'm going to composite the lines, the render, and this displace together. Hold on. I'm actually going to go back into this line and delete this null and make a out instead. So then I have this wire that I can connect it to the comp, and I can connect this render and this displace out. And you can't see anything. It looks funny because this comp I need to put over. So they stack on each other. Wonderful. A little more details. Add a rectangle top. In this rectangle top, I'll make the same resolution to 1280 by 720. And I'll have this to be 2 by 0.5. 2. And you can do any color you want. I'll do this purple, a little bit darker. And I want to be able to have this rotation turn randomly. And I will use this seed, but what I will do is do this expression tdu.ran, so random, and op the seed, calling the seed operator, keyboard 1, and let me first check that's wrong. Here, great. So random this, but right now it can go any number, but I want this to be times 360. So then it would go to like a 360 circle rotation. So when I click on run, it rotates around. So this, I will add another composite. Not constant. Composite. Flip this over to here. And you can play with any of the operations, but I like the chrome. Yeah, I think it's kind of an interesting shade thing. And this rotation, this expression, I'm going to copy this and actually add that onto this triangle sop, the transform. I also want to be able to play with this XC. So the rotation of the triangle also changes. That expression, I also wanted to add into this line transform. So the transform, add it here, but you'll see that because we need to go a level up, I'll need to do parent to. I can't spell today. This is in here. Parent to ed.ram.parent. Awesome. So if you see, it also rotates randomly. Great. Final little touches. I want to add some grain texture on it, so I'll add a noise. Make it to be 1280 by 720. And change it to random. Add a level afterwards. Level opacity. And again, you can tweak it. 8.2 is not too bad. And here we have it. The colors aren't so much Kandinsky's colors, but I vibe with this. And you can also play around with making it auto-reactive, because it would be really great with having the ramps and the shapes to move with the audio. And let me know what you think. And if there's also any requests for future artists or artwork, please let me know in the comments below. Bye!
Hey guys, thanks for watching. If you're serious about taking your TouchDesigner and interactive skills to the next level, I highly recommend you check out the Interactive and Immersive HQ Pro. It's the only educational resource and community of its kind for TouchDesigner and interactive professionals. You can learn more by checking out the link in the description. And if you like this video, don't forget to hit that like button. And if you're new here, don't forget to hit subscribe and the little bell icon for more awesome free content.